Hi, everybody. This is Namita here. I'm an aspiring canine behavior consultant and currently pursuing my diploma from Barks Academy under the guidance of Sindur Pangal, who I always refer to as the mastermind behind Barks. I've also partnered with my mentor and colleague on an educational initiative called as Bombat Dogs. I'm a mother to two dog babies, Mika and Sniper. So today we have the brilliant Laura Dobb from Slow Dog Movement today. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Namita.
So Laura is a dog coach in behavior and problem solving, certified and taught by Turid Rugaas in the year 2014-15, based in Penzance in the UK. She is also a full member of the Pet Dog Trainers of Europe, PDTE. Born in Vancouver, Canada, Laura has lived on Gabriola Island, BC, Vancouver, San Francisco, and now lives with her family in the UK since 2009. She has two dogs, a Jack Russell Terrier named Izzy and a Wishon named Ted. Both of them are small rescue dogs, and as she mentions, they've got big spirits. Laura runs Dog Sense, Cornwall and Southwest Peninsula's first dedicated indoor canine enrichment facility. In her spare time, she walks in the countryside with her dogs, writes her slow dog movement blogs, and swims in the refreshing waters of the Atlantic without a wetsuit. She started the Slow Dog Movement as a Facebook group in late January 2020. The Slow Dog Movement aims to foster deeper relationships between dogs and humans, educate by showing the right way, and grow a like minded worldwide community of dog lovers embracing the value of slow. So, before I invite Laura, let me give you an overview of today's talk. We'll be speaking about slow dog movement, the importance of slow dog movement in dogs, also in humans, and about the community as well. So, let's invite Laura.
Thank you very much, Namita. It's a fantastic introduction. I'm looking forward so much to speaking with you today about the slow dog movement and to inviting all our listeners to learn more. So I'll just talk a little bit about myself. I'm from Canada, as you say, and I was born in the 60s, well before the personal computer or even the computer. In those times, the computers filled up entire rooms. So I wasn't distracted as a young person or even up until my 20s with those things. And I had the privilege to grow up in a natural environment and have freedom. My parents gave me freedom to be outside. And so when I had my first dog when I was 10, Muffin, I was able to roam at free will, you know, when school wasn't in
Oh.
and have that kind of simplicity in my life. Also, I was an only child, so maybe a bit of a brat because I didn't have to compete for resources with anyone else. And I guess I was a bit of a daydreamer. So that's a little bit about me. I do have a family, and I have a 17-year-old son. I'm married and have a husband and two dogs, like you said. So really, the slow dog movement was the first little inklings of it came to me in about 2016 because I finished my international dog training education with Turid in 2015. And so basically it's grown since then and was born at the end of January, like you said, on Facebook. And really, none of these ideas are really my own original ideas. I just synthesized all of the good learning that I've had and the mentors that I've had with Pet Dog Trainers of Europe and my colleagues. And they have fantastic ideas like, you know, Smiling Leash, you've heard from them, and Winky Spears and Marina Gates Fleming, Karen Webb, Harriet Alexander, Kirsty Grant, I'm completely indebted to. She runs the Dog Nose in Swindon. So, you know, these are just a few. I could go on and on. The people that have informed what the slow dog movement is. So it's been a slow distillation with Pet Dog Trainers of Europe, colleagues and mentors, and also I eat slow, and and I've always loved the idea of slow food, and that was came to be in the 1980s with oh my goodness, Carlos Petrini. I almost forgot his name for a moment. In Italy. And also in Italy, there are slow cities, and there's also now slow travel and slow sex and slow education. And I'm also very influenced by Carl Honore. He's an international author and speaker. He's done TED Talks. His books are translated into 35 different languages. And in 2004, he wrote In Praise of Slow. I urge you to read it. He's written many other books since then. The Slow Fix and Boulder. I've got them on my my bookcase right here. And so he wrote that in 2004, and coincidentally, he was also born in Vancouver. I talked to him just a few weeks ago, actually, and he gives his full support to the slow dog movement, and he will be bigging us up. And now we can be, under the umbrella of the slow movement, of all the slow movements, and we can all, the whole world can basically slow down and enjoy their lives more. So, I've talked about where I came from, who I learned under, and my inspirations. And so in general, it's like you said, the slow dog movement is to show the right thing. There's Turid and myself. So the slow movement is to show the right thing, and that's an idea Turid basically coined. And that's so when we are posting on Facebook videos and photos and ideas, that we really show the right equipment, the slow walks, sniffing, anything that matches the dog ethogram. And I will talk about that later, but that's basically how dogs live naturally in the world. And this is not a philosophy that has a mantra or any sort of set of rules. It's basically to try it, for people that are very busy in their lives, and they're thinking there must be something else maybe that I can do. And basically they may be already doing it. And it's meant to add value to humans' lives as well. Before people try any training, not that this is training, but I'd say that the slow dog movement works in tandem with the basics that we should provide for our dog, which is, water, food, sleep, social contact, and when they want to go pee or poo, they are let out right away. They're given the opportunity before they even ask, basically. So those things have to really be the foundation of a dog's life before we do anything else. And I want to say a special word for rescue dogs, because all dogs need the basics, and all dogs benefit from slow dog movement. But when we bring a dog into our lives, whether it's from a breeder or a rescue dog, but especially rescue dogs, it's like they're being born. They're being born right into our lives. So they've gotten used to one other reality, and now they're coming home to us. And so they have to get used to, the smells, the environment, the rhythm of the house, just navigating stairs, if you have any slippery floors, hopefully not, but just getting used to us. And then we can slowly teach them how to have the harness on and the long leash inside the house before we take them out to show to all our friends. Just respect them and let them get used to the new environment before they get used to the big wide world. Even if they've belonged to other people before, it's lovely for them to sort of go, I've arrived here, like when you travel and you go to a new place, some people may rush out and go, but I like to kind of put everything in the drawers of the hotel and have a little rest and just, acclimatize. And it's a bit longer for a rescue dog, I would recommend, but that's basically the idea.
Yeah. It's brilliant that you brought up the rescue dogs. My Sniper, he did not have any history of abandonment or punishment or any kind of trauma. We brought him as a puppy. He's still a skittish dog. He's 2 years old, and we have to be very careful about anything that might get overstimulating for him. So even if it's on the walks, we make it a point that he gets like 10 to 15 minutes of proper sniffing walks. And once he's done, he shows us that he needs to go home back. So it's like he has the choice to get back to home when he's done. So now that you brought up the rescue dog point, I think this is also very relatable to skittish or fearful dogs as well, right?
Definitely. I mean, we have to look at them as individuals. And
Yeah.
the best thing is to know your dog. So it
Yes.
also could be for dogs that are older, they get tired on a walk and they need obviously less distance, and time is the thing that we focus on.
Yes.
That's actually an idea from Michelle Dignam in Australia. She said to me, Laura, it's all about time, not distance when you do a walk. And with skittish dogs, reactive dogs, dogs with less mobility, dogs that are older, puppies, basically
Yeah.
anything but a healthy adult dog that doesn't have any issues. Maybe they can go a bit further, but we always have to tune into them and see what they
Yeah.
need. Yeah, that's
Tune
great.
into them. That's a beautiful line. So could you tell us a little about how to bring in slow dog movement into our dog's daily life?
Of course, yeah, I'd love to. Uh, so some of you may have seen the Smiling Dog team present to you a fantastic sort of comprehensive talk about the right equipment and how to do a smiling leash walk. And so I basically don't want to repeat what they said, but I will go overview on that one just because some people might not have seen their talk, but I urge you to. We often work in tandem, so it's really good partnership, I think. So slower dog exercise, the main thing that people think about is the walk.
Yeah.
And that and then actually even before the walk, you can, if you're finding that your dog is wanting to pull out of the house, just
Yeah.
oh so excited, you can do lots of things. You can work with a trainer to figure out a day zero, so that you put your leashes and everything in a new place on this day. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail. Maybe wear a different coat. We did it with our Izzy, our Jack Russell, because she's very much a out the starting gates kind of girl, and so we decided to go out the back door instead of the front and around the corner where the side gate is. And now she decompresses
Oh,
now before she leaves the gate. She actually sniffs where the cats were around the bins in our own garden, and then she goes on her walk. So even before the walk, you can slow down and
yeah.
not make it a highly charged activity. And then to have the right equipment, the harness that fits well, that's really important. Make sure it
Yeah.
doesn't, go under the armpits, and
Not
it's a
yeah.
Y front, H back, and at least a 3-meter long leash, not a flexi lead. What is the name of the?
Retractable leash.
Not one of those. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know that I may use the brand name, so that's not good. And so, learn about dog body language.
Yeah.
Turid Rugaas's book on talking terms with dogs, calming signals, and so that you can monitor how your dog is doing in any given situation. If you need to learn to curve away from something they may be worried about, another dog, a person, a man with a hat and a cane, whatever it is, a lorry, and let them slow down and sniff and experience their environment, meet other dogs if that's going to work for them. That's like a basics, and not worry about the distance. Just take your time. That's the most important thing. We may think it's boring. We
Yeah.
can't see all the things that they want to sniff, or we might be down on the ground with them. I don't know. That 5-day-old ice cream, that dog poo. No.
Yes.
Yeah, leave it to the dogs. But seriously, that's their world, and we need, it's important to respect it. And I might also say slower dog exercise would be like natural parkour, and not where the humans are jumping from building to building, like bring it right down, but enough so that they're not just going straight and flat on surfaces. So they may go to the construction site, like you mentioned, and walk on the sand, walk on some surfaces that are uneven. So they engage what we call proprioception.
Yes.
And that's their body awareness and being able to use their core muscles to build their core muscles. And walking is actually really, really strengthening for them, like humans. It's better than running or trotting. You'll see a lot of dogs trotting. The goal is to get them down to the walk
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I'll talk about this later, the differences between fast and slow exercise, but, of course they're going to do a little sprint now and then when they see their friends or they're happy to see you. That's them being a joyful dog. We don't want to stop them doing that. It's just making, I remember now one of the talks that Dr. Amber Batson gave us. She showed a slide that was from the street dog research, and I think it's 90% calm, 10% arousal. That's what we're aiming for in a dog's life. It's a really good ratio to keep in your head. And so, you could go somewhere like a park, or you could just find a quiet place in an urban environment. You could go to industrial areas, commercial areas after hours when it's not so busy, or if your dogs aren't bothered by busy and they don't seem to be stressed, then that's fine too. It's all knowing your dog. Find a little place to sit down that you feel comfortable, with your back up against a wall or a tree, and bring a little rucksack and have a appropriate chew for your dog, some nice dried tendon. Bring something tastier for yourself. and just use your imagination. I mean, it could be that you think, oh, it's so busy where I am. Maybe someone or you haven't accessed everything. Just really, really think. There could be like a rooftop garden somewhere that's safe with enough guardrails that you could utilize.
Car parking.
Pardon me?
Car parking.
Yeah. Very good point. Yeah, it looks completely boring to us. So interesting to dogs. And two other things. It's just sort of the style of doing a slow walk is allowing your dog to choose. I mean, with pet dog trainers of Europe and with barks, it's always choice. We need to let our dogs have choice, and on the walk is no exception. As long as it's safe, they're not going right across the road when there's a car. And also, just like Turid would say, like you said earlier, shh, just, don't talk. If you are aware of your dog and your own body language being clear, so say if you really don't want to go the way your dog is going because it's not safe, or that's the end sort of your time and you want to turn around, then you can just stand in the direction you want to go with your shoulders, not too stiff, just, give the signal that you want to go. You don't have to pull or anything, and they will get the point. It may take time for dogs that are going faster to learn this. It sounds simple. It's simple for me now with my dogs, but I've been practicing for a long time. Some days may be better or worse. Some days there may be some kind of trigger that makes you, like cat or whatever it is, that makes your dog, whoa. Then, just say, okay, next time we'll try better, and just learn, up your game, watch your dog's signals more. So.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So we would like to get into the details of how do you help your dogs slow down, even if it's through exercises. How do you help them slow down?
Right. It comes from you first, I think. Dogs pick up on our stress levels. That's why my dogs aren't in the room right now. No, I'm getting more relaxed. They pick up on our stress levels. They actually absorb the cortisol from our hair and our heart rate. They see our faces. They see, if we have a tense face or not. And so if you can try to not get yourself whipped up into a froth, like my dad used to say, and to be calm, then it'll really help your dogs. In terms of slow movement and on the walk, it's the same. Just be patient, and stop, because a dog may pull, because like Turid says, we follow them. It's, there's a fantastic book, My Dog Pulls, What Do I Do? By Turid Rugaas. And if you read that book, you'll have lots of good pointers. You may not even have to get to the book. If you stop and wait and learn how to do a curve so that you can get your dog's attention to not be pulling towards something, that can help. But, stopping and breathing, doing a little treat search in the moment, as long as it's a safe place where you are and there's not any other dogs competing for the resources. After that, if you find you've tried a lot of things and your dog isn't slowing down, you can ask a behaviorist in your area for help. I don't know. Do you have any other ideas that I've forgotten?
this is for outdoors, right? We can have other activities indoor as well, like the cardboard box and
Right.
treat search,
Oh,
sock
yes. Oh,
treat search,
yes. Yes. No,
stuff
I
like
mean, I thought you were talking specifically about slowing down on the walk.
that.
But
Okay. Yeah.
definitely engaging dogs' brains. I know that that's a topic that you're passionate about, Namitha,
Yes.
because I listen to
Very
your talk.
personal.
So I love to talk about that. So I run Dog Sense, and it's a indoor canine dog enrichment. I've just said canine and dog facility, and it's about 425 square feet, and it's modeled after the Dog Nose in Swindon, Kirsty Grant's facility. And basically, it's really special because it helps us in England because we have not so good weather all the time. So we can't really set up something outside and hope that it's not going to get soaked. And we close the door. So the dogs that are nervous or reactive or
Yeah.
slow or whatever it is, or just any dog knows that's it. No one else is coming in to take those treats that we've hidden or interrupt them when they're smelling the whole environment. But we can do this kind of thing at home. We can just bring found objects that have a lot of scent history. So that means, a lot of people or children or other animals like animal bedding, other dog leashes, just anything that's been touched a lot. We can bring that into our own house, household items, anything, as long as it's safe, and even things that may look a bit scary, like an error, the things that you put up to dry clothes, an umbrella, just
Yeah.
common household issues, just something for your dog to explore. You can also do treat
Or
searches.
yourself.
Sorry, love.
Or yourself when you've come from outdoors. My
Exactly. Yeah, your
my dog
groceries.
loves sniffing the whole dress, and they just spend like 2.5 minutes
Mm.
sniffing when I come from outdoors.
Yes, that's a great point. And your
Yeah.
groceries, I saw your post the other day. I do
Groceries,
that as
yes.
well.
When things get delivered, they love sniffing the vegetables.
It's a great idea, and plus they
Yeah.
smell everything else, like where everything came from, the
Yes.
soil on the vegetables, the packages that people have touched before you've bought them. Um, I mean, we could talk about this for a whole hour. Basically, it's use your imagination. So indoors, you can bring found objects. You can do treat searches indoors. You can also do both these things in your garden. You can make the treat puzzles. So you can buy the treat puzzles, the plastic ones. And those are great. And I use them with my dogs and in Dog Sense. But once the dog figures them out, then it's really just how fast they can get the treat that's inside. And we don't really want the dogs to have a super exciting, this is about calming. So if you find your dog's doing anything and it's revving them up and they're frustrated or just too excited, then we switch for something that's more calming. Like perhaps you have a neighbor or a friend that allows your dogs to come into their house, as long as they've had their pee and everything outside, so they don't have a wee in the house, then you won't be invited back. But or their gardens or garages, or if there's rubbish and recycling day, that's my dog's favorite day, and they go and sniff things, and again, use your common sense, as long as there's nothing sharp or
Sharp, yes, poisonous.
dangerous. Yeah, so allow them to sniff, even allow them to like lick and taste things that you might just think, why are you doing that? But it's how they explore their world. And also going to new places. You might have your few walks and your dogs lead you there and they're happy. And the 2 walks that I've just posted on the Slow Dog Movement, that I used Strava, that app that you measure how far you go, those are just like boring for me, walks around the neighborhood, but the dogs aren't bored. They always smell new things, and we go as slow as they want to go, and we go where they want to go. But sometimes it's just lovely to go somewhere else, either in the car, the train, or the bus. Go a little bit somewhere else, get a lift with a friend if you don't have a car, to a
Yeah.
new environment. And it doesn't have to be a park. It can be, like we said, the industrial areas or a car park. It is overwhelming for some people to think of all the enrichment. I'm sliding over. I have to, because left is right. I'm a bit spatially dyslexic. Sorry. Um, it's overwhelming sometimes for people to see everything online. Oh, all this enrichment. I have to be doing this all the time. No. It's
Yeah.
there. It's there to supplement your dog's life. They will find a lot of information and enrichment outside when you go on your slow sniffy walks, or even in your house. You can bring things in your house.
Yes.
It's great to engage their brains and to make things out of the toilet rolls with the treats inside, or the egg cartons, or the boxes with the newspaper. It's cheap. Those things are fantastic. Watch your dog, make sure you know your dog. And if it's too frustrating for them, make it easier. If they get through it right away, you can make it harder. If you need to split your dogs into 2 different rooms, like you do as well, please do that. It's common sense. So it's not having to fill up the whole dog's day, the dog's whole day with enrichment activities. No, that's not the point. It's an addition to their lives. I did write. Sorry.
Yeah, so in between, I just wanted to interrupt you. We have a few comments which has come in. So Shivani Darshan says, hello, beautiful ladies. Hi, Shivani. My 4-year-old girl, a golden retriever, has no clue who comes and goes, but she can smell a ball from miles and fetch it from far away and sniff it out. Her walk is a catwalk until she sees her favorite doggo friends. Then she's just running in circles and runs back home.
Wow.
Then we have Sindhu here. Hi, Sindhu.
Hi, Sindhu.
She says, oh, this is a beautiful point. Dogs that have physical issues can sometimes find it difficult to slow down. I once treated a dog with spondylitis who found it hard to bend down and sniff, and so would not slow down.
May I just speak to that one first, because I'm sure Cinder has some ideas of, and you do as well, on how to work with that, but then we wouldn't frustrate the dog in terms of sniffing below, but we could create some kind of enrichment that is at their level. So some people put pate on trees, so it's a bit further up, and so the dog doesn't have to bend down. You could augment the enrichment area to help that dog. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know. I've never dealt with a dog that has, or worked with a dog that has this specific situation. So maybe Sindra can tell us what she would do.
Yes. Sindhu has another point here on enrichment.
Yeah.
Nishi loves car rides. She likes to join us when we go feeding streeties. She likes watching the feeding. She loves watching out of the car window. How mentally stimulating is that? So
That's
beautiful.
fantastic. I kind of talk about that in the next point in watching the world go by, but so it depends on whether you want to talk about that being social or stimulating. It's both, isn't it?
We can get to that. Yeah.
But I don't want to ignore the first question.
Yes. So the first one was Shivani Darshan.
Shivani, I'm not sure what a catwalk is. Is that a slow walk? And then she sees her dog friends, and then she's very excited, and then she just flees the situation. Is that what you understand?
Could be that. Yeah. Maybe she meant running from the place. Could be.
I would imagine that if that's the case, if your dog flees that situation, don't bring your dog to that place, and try to arrange to have loose leash walks with the dogs that are friendly in a parallel walking situation somewhere else where it's super quiet, so your dog can get used to a social situation with other dogs without feeling threatened in that off-leash situation. But as I'm not observing your dog, I would recommend working with an observer in your behaviorist in your area. That's just my gut instinct to do with this situation.
Yeah. Okay, so you can get into your next point on bringing slow dog movement into dogs' daily life.
Okay. That is being social. So Cinder already gave a little sneak preview of what that could look like. So I'll start with that one, shall I? So Cinder was talking about bringing Nishi in the car to watch the streeties being fed, and that's lovely. I mean, we don't have street dogs like that here in the UK, so But you know, sometimes when we stop at the farmer's market and we've come back from a walk, we go to an enclosed field in our area for our dogs to have more freedom without other dogs and be safe. And when we come back, sometimes we go to a farmer's, like a roadside stand, and my husband gets out and buys groceries, and so they can watch what's going on. So that's sort of a similar kind of thing, but basically it's what Kirsty Grant calls watching the world go by. And that's where you sit somewhere with your dogs. It could be a park bench, it could be in the city somewhere, it could be in a restaurant, and you just make it comfortable for them with a blanket and maybe a chew. But maybe not actually, because some other dog might come by and want that chew. But anyway, depends how your dog is. But basically, it's just watching the world go by. Like it says, make sure that the traffic isn't coming directly towards you, like dogs or people. And it's really relaxing way to spend time with your dog, and obviously mentally stimulating. I think it's calming. So it's both. I think it's calming and mentally stimulating, because it's that way for me anyway. And so being social with dogs is part of the ethogram. So dogs in their natural environment are very, very social. They sleep together, they eat together, they groom each other. With our dogs, we can do similar things. And in fact, with sleep, we were talking about choices before. It's so important to give them lots of choices.
Yes.
They need a lot of sleep. If they don't get enough sleep, it really does affect everything. It affects their behavior, their ingestion, their eating. And so if we can allow them to be on our beds, that's the ideal. If you like that and your dog likes that, that's the best, I think. But even beside you, your bed, or just outside the bedroom, and our dogs are allowed on the furniture. It's nice for them to have an elevated place, a place on the ground, a cozy bed that's round, a flat bed. And some people put their dogs in crates to sleep. And my personal feeling is I don't like crates. I used one a long time ago when I first got my Westie, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I wanted to go to work, and I had a 6-month-old puppy, and I thought I needed to crate her. And actually what ended up happening is that we tried it for a little while, and then she slept with us, and we took her to work in the day. But if people really want to use a crate, they could maybe leave it as a choice for the dog, like take the door off permanently and put like a blanket over top and leave it somewhere where the dog can choose or not to go to the crate. That's so because if you trap them inside, they can't move around as easily. Like imagine you sleeping in there. Wouldn't be very nice. And they don't, if you shut the door, they don't have the choice to go somewhere if they're really hot or they're cold. And they can't go to other places to sleep, because they get up. They're not like us. They don't sleep for 8 hours. They get up and move around in the night. We might not be aware of it, but it's called polyphasic. Yeah. So it's important that they can regulate their own temperature, and if they get a leg cramp. I get leg cramps because my dogs are on the bed. In between my legs, beside my head.
Sorry to interrupt. Sleeping is one of my favorite activity here, especially for Sniper. If I'm lying down, just not for sleeping, if I'm just lying down, he curls up behind my butt so that he gets the tactile input as well, and he sleeps off like 10 seconds.
That's a good point. The tactile contact is really important. That we get. I mean, that's sort of in one of my next points, but really, if we sit beside our dogs when we're reading, watching telly, we're doing a craft. So I encourage people to sit beside their dogs. Sometimes we just think, oh, we have a dog and I'm going to do all the right things, right? I'm going to take the dog for a walk. I'm going to feed my dog. I'm going to play with my dog. I make sure my dog is healthy. That's good. At the same time, the dog is actually part of our family, and they love to be included. Just like little children, when you're doing something. My little rescue Ted, when I'm making a snuffle mat at my premises, I have the fleece all laid out on the mats there. He comes and lies on it because he thinks he's helping me with that. So It's really lovely. And he is so relaxed when I'm doing something and I'm really focused on it. Even my son said to me, Mom, I love watching you sew or do things like that because you're so focused. It makes me feel calm. So,
Oh,
yeah. And so he's 17. Uh, so, you know, if we can sit with our dogs when when we're cooking, we can include them. They love
yeah,
to watch us. They might get a
exactly.
carrot stick. Also, when they're eating, it's really lovely if we could just sit and be calm when they're eating. So they don't have to, believe it or not, they may still worry about predators or even the other dog in the house getting their
Yeah,
food. So if we
yeah.
just we sit with Izzy because she's the most nervous when she's eating.
Okay. Okay.
Even though she's been in the house the longest, she's a bit of a fussy eater. So Ted, the newest member of the family, his food is gone really quickly. Then he
Oh,
comes and waits and stands behind Izzy to see if she's going to finish her food. So we sit with them to make sure that they feel safe. And then when we're eating, of course, we feed them first because that's the right thing to do.
yeah.
And then we eat and they sleep under our feet when we're eating. So it's just all
Oh,
social eating, social sleeping, doing calm activities, watching the world go by. Yeah, that's really matches the dog ethogram and what street dogs do. You know, they're if we can foster the rest and the sleep, that's what street dogs do, like half their day, right? I mean, and and then scavenging, that's what we talked about before in engaging dog brains. That's a really natural thing for them to do. I have a quote from Turid, and that is, saving energy is one of their dog's inborn skills.
beautiful.
So yeah.
That's beautiful. So when we spoke about making them part of your activity, now that I remember, whenever me and my partner make some music, both Mika and Sniper, they just sleep throughout. They love listening to it, but they should be a part of it. And if they do not like a certain kind of sound that's coming out of the speaker, they go out.
All
That
right.
yeah, that choice is also there. So it's lovely to watch them, have that choice to be part of that activity or not be part of that activity. Beautiful.
And it's kind of a lovely habit,
Yeah.
that they may like hear the sound of your music and then know it's going to happen and then come into the room
Yes.
and know that's time to relax. It's like they look for cues.
Oh,
And I think that when we move around the house generally, it's really important to be conscious if we can. And I learned this when I did some Steiner, Rudolf Steiner. He was an education philosopher, and he started the Waldorf school movement for children, sort of the opposite of Montessori schools in Italy. And he always said that for little ones, when you're getting the table ready for them to have the snack in the little one's school, you have the candle ready, you have the apple and the cutting board and the knife. There's no reason for you have to get up, back up and down, back up and down, up and down, because it really just it makes the children
yeah.
unsettled. And it's the same for dogs. It doesn't mean we have to be walking around like monks or anything in our house. But if you try to think, I'm going out with the dogs, what are the things I need? Can I calmly assemble them or always have them in one spot? So
Yeah.
you're not racing up and down the stairs. This kind of movement in our house gives the dogs cues for what's going to happen. So you could have cues for the lovely music that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not something that you have to consciously set up. I'm just saying that there
This
are
happens.
positive cues, but also there's ones that make them feel scattered because you're running all over the place, yelling from room to room. It's not nice for dogs.
Yeah.
It's better to try to have a calm house, and it's good for you too. I'm not trying to lecture you, but
Okay.
ah. My favorite subject.
That's beautiful.
Now, if only we could really do it more often. When Namitha and I were doing a little test run of this talk before, we both felt like after we talked about this section that we wanted to go on a holiday and just absolutely
Yes.
do nothing
Yes.
with our dogs, obviously.
Yes.
Be in a beautiful place, or just a calm place and not have any agenda, no sightseeing. So this is what I invite people in their lives, their daily lives, is the less you do. So if you're going to do something, do it well. Instead of doing more, do less. On the walk, focus on the time, not the distance, and just try to do a little bit of nothing with your dog. Now, some vets may be concerned or behaviorists because they may have clients that have dogs that do too much nothing because the people don't engage their dogs enough or exercise them. This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of life where there's the children getting ready for school in the morning. There's a lot of shouting. Where is the keys? Where's the lunch kit? Have you got your gym strip? All these things. Chaos, you know, and to try to slow down, be more organized, and be close to your dog, and then take an opportunity to just sit. Don't have the book. Don't have the phone. Turn it off. Don't have the telly. Sit under a tree or sit on your sofa, wherever it is you're comfortable. Lie down even. You could share a snack with your dog, like some blueberries or something. But I mean, my son and I, during lockdown, we took the dogs up to, there's a youth hostel near where we live in Penzance. It's very, very beautiful. It's not open yet. Unfortunately, if you ever come to visit, I'd love to say hello to you and I can show you around. And this is a beautiful place. You, Namitha, and I guess anyone that turns up from India. There's a few of you there. So give me some heads up. Anyway, this youth hostel is lovely and it has trees, and we were lying on the grounds on the grass with the little daisies around us with the two dogs, looking up at the sky and just being quiet. So beautiful. Doesn't have to be for a half an hour, but if you can build a little bit of that into your life, or if you sit beside your dog and they are okay with stroking, you know, some light touch is really good. It releases oxytocin, which is that lovely, when we breastfeed babies, they get that. It's the closeness hormone, you know, it's really, really calming. And, you know, just try to build it into your life if you can, even if you can do it once a week. It's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where I was going to talk about fast and slow. No, it's coming next. I just wanted to make sure.
So before we get into the next point, can I just look for a few comments?
Of course.
Yes. So because you already invited people, Kalyani, my colleague, she's going to come to UK soon. So,
Lovely.
yes, Kalyani, I'll put you in touch with Laura.
Lovely. I'd love to meet you.
So we have Michelle Dignam asking, why should they eat first?
Thank you, Michelle. She's my colleague in Australia.
Oh.
She's our, and she's the one that said time, not distance. So actually, Turid explained to me that if we eat first, dogs think that we're puppies.
Oh.
And it's not that we're doing the dominance thing or anything like that, or that we're the, you know, but we are their guardians, and it's just kind to feed them first. Then they're not worried about when their food is going to come. Plus, then they're calm and allowing us to eat. So, I mean, mother dog feeds their puppies first, and that's how it was explained to me. So maybe you know some more, Michelle. You can tell us what you think. Or Namitha.
This was new to me, so yeah.
All right.
I do not have anything to add here. So let's move on to the next point then.
So I've been talking about a lot of activities that ask people to slow down with their dogs. And really, when we have human relationships, it's really lovely that we can do this as well. You know, sit with our loved one, read a book or watch the television, spend quality time. And with dogs, it's no different. So really, if we're busy, or even if we do slow dog movement like it's some kind of new program, and we don't have a good relationship with our dogs, it's not going to work as well. You really try to get to know your dog. And if you are dedicated in this pursuit and learn dog body language and really know your dog, observe them in a respectful way. So you could observe them close up every day by looking at, Turid talks about a dog MOT. So that's like when you look after your car, but this is, people do this with their babies. They check them, they look in their nose and their ears and all over. And so that's the same with dogs. If you, not invasively, just try to gently look to make sure your dog's okay. When we lived in San Francisco, we didn't know about these little things called foxtails. And they're like little seed pods that go into the pad of the dog, into the foot or the skin, and they travel towards the heart and they can kill the dog.
Oh.
It was shocking to us. Oh. So not only did we get our Westie's hair cut up to the wrists, you can't see my hand because I don't know how to put it in the mirror. In the camera. So we got the hair cut up to here so we could see the little pods, but also we checked her over every day to make sure she didn't have any of those because it was so scary to us. So that I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm sure they're not everywhere. They're certainly not very often in England, but
it's a good point to seek consent and check your dogs. And like
exactly.
You said, very inclusive.
Yeah. So that, but also then observe your dog, what he or she likes and dislikes, give them choices. So if they don't want to go in a certain direction, or like our I can't remember the woman's name that asked the question because I don't have the comments beside me, but she asked about her dog, and her dog ran away from the park. It may be too stimulating. It may be a social situation that her dog is uncomfortable with. There's lots of reasons that the dog may run away. But not even running away, before it comes to that point, you can tell that your dog is uncomfortable. He or she could be turning their head, looking up at you, giving a whale eye, all sorts of signs that say, I'm uncomfortable with this situation. So really check in with your dog and observe your dog in every day. So if you're doing something like going upstairs, or your dog is ascending a little ramp, or whatever it is, walking on the sand, if they're walking in a different way and you're noticing they look a bit stiff in the hindquarters or whatever it is, lifting a paw, then just check into that. So it's a caring thing, and it's also a respectful relationship where you know, because they're sentient beings that are highly intelligent and wise, and we love them and bring them into our family. And so it only goes to show, I think, that we try to foster this deeper relationship with them through observation and sharing time. Silence is a beautiful thing. I say that because some people sort of take things on and go, that's great, and you can do all the things, the enrichment and everything, but if you don't have that connection with your dog, it's not that it's not worth it, but it's important to think about it all the time.
Yes. So could you also tell us on how slow dog movement can be beneficial for humans as well?
Well, many people have probably thought about that already while I've been talking. They're thinking, wow, that means I don't have to go to agility class 3 times a week, or I don't have to throw the ball, for half an hour a day and get a repetitive stress injury, or I don't have to be busy making puzzles for my dog all day long. I have to say that it's wonderful to want to do things for your dog and to be always learning and thinking about your dog. That's fantastic. I don't want to say that's a bad thing at all. That's a perfect start. But I think humans are really, really busy, and I think all of us take on, whether we're, getting a new puppy or having a baby or whatever it is, learning a language, a lot of us are really gung-ho. We have a lot of information at our fingertips now with the internet, and there's a lot of opinions out there. So I think it's lovely for humans to have an excuse. It doesn't mean you have to sit down and read a book about mindfulness, but go ahead and do it if it helps you. It's an invitation It's an invitation. Like when you go for a walk and your dog goes, I'm going to go in this stream over here. And you follow your dog. Yeah, that's
Oh,
an invitation, right? So
yeah.
it's also like an invitation from the universe to join your dog in calm things. And that also, in calm activities, I should say, that also will benefit you. It's like a win-win situation. It's a positive feedback loop. You know,
Yeah.
the more you are calm and help your dog be calm, then it follows like that. I'm not saying that you always have to do calm activities, and I touched on that at the beginning. So if you want to go to the beach and you find a little sandbar and you want to race up and down the sandbar, you're in a space where you feel like racing around, well, not jogging. I'm not talking about jogging. I'm talking about doing a little sprint for fun, or your dog wants to play and it's okay. Then, like Dr. Amber Batson says, do a little calm activity before and after. So, you know, your dog has an opportunity to sort of, you know, slow down and get the heart rate back. I am a runner. I've been a runner since I was 10. And I never take my dogs for a run. But I do have to say that there is a bit of a science, and it's quite similar for dogs and humans. It's you know, when dogs run alongside us or are tethered to us when we run, or to a bicycle, it's not really a fair situation because they don't have a choice to stop, to sniff, to toilet. They may be jumping up and biting the leash. That's definitely a stress signal saying, I don't want to be doing this. I want to stop. And also, they can't sweat like we can through their pores, so they pant. And that means that when they're panting, it might look like they're really, really happy, but
Yeah.
actually they're stressed and they're exhausted and they're not getting enough oxygen. So
Yeah.
when people see, there's a difference. You know, you can see a photo of a dog that's gone for a huge run or a huge walk and is now flaked out, just totally exhausted, versus a dog that's done some lovely enrichment, you know, sniffing the groceries, come to Dog Sense, come to the Dog Nose, or my two other colleagues in the UK, Penny Clayton at Crabtree in Sussex, and Hilary Sweeney nosing around UK in Essex. So those 4 places in the UK anyway. So if we get photos from our clients showing a really calm, nice resting dog after they've come to see us, that's what we want.
Wow.
Not a completely worn out dog. It also, when we do these fast-paced exercises regularly, it builds up cortisol in the body, which is not a positive hormone to have building up, and adrenaline and glutamate. That I'm getting a bit sciencey on you. It decreases serotonin and decreases the endorphins. So you can also have an injured dog when you're doing these activities, you know, repetitive, especially on flat surfaces activities. So as a runner, I know this because in my life I've been addicted to running, and now I'm starting to do more walking because I just am recognizing that it's better for me. It's better for dogs to walk. It's better for the joints and the muscles. And so for dogs, when we allow them to do this loose leash, smiling leash, sniffing walk, and I'm sure other people like the smiling leash people and other speakers have mentioned the field study, our colleagues in France.
Yeah.
They did a study which compared dogs on a short leash, on a long leash, and off leash. And if the dogs are on a long loose leash and also off leash, they have a very similar result, and they're allowed to, they sniff more and their heart rate goes down. So that's
Yeah.
what we're aiming for. On the short leash, they're not able to sniff. And as yeah, I'm going to put aside perhaps Sindor's comment because that is, it's something to consider for sure, but it's more unusual. I don't actually know how to address that. I'm going to be asking her after this talk. But so these types of slow exercise and the social contact with the oxytocin increase the oxytocin, their serotonins, the endorphins, and they decrease the cortisol.
Yeah.
So it's just healthier for us. You know, when our immune system isn't overloaded with stress hormones, our behavior is better. We're not so snappy, you know, and then we
True.
don't get addicted to this, you know. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's a very good point, actually. So, could you tell us a little bit of how do you engage your audience in the community?
Thank you. So from the beginning, from the end of January, I started a Facebook page called Slow Dog Movement, and it's a public page, and people can join just by asking to join, and they just need to answer some questions and agree to the Pet Dog Trainers of Europe Code of Ethics, which is really important for us. And then they just begin. So you share your photos and videos of showing the right thing. So slow walks and sniffing and enrichment and watching the world go by and sitting beside your dog.
Yeah.
And I thought we had some photos that we were going to show. Maybe we'll show them in a minute. I don't know if there's time. Anyway, then so there's also people that ask questions, and people give share articles and infographics. Sometimes I've been putting up some Strava maps that just show how slow my dogs and I are going, meaning they're just stopping at the recycling and sniffing, and they're that kind of thing. So just to show it, because it's really lovely for people to learn with images, I think.
Yeah.
We also have an Instagram feed, and that's if people post to Instagram, so even now they can do it, and use the hashtag Slow Dog Movement. Then I look for those posts and I do a repost on Slow Dog Movement. I just recently also created a website, slowdogmovement.org. And because it's so new, I don't have the site optimized now for Google searches yet, but I will. And so you have to put slowdogmovement.org in the URL to be able to find it. But we're going to have ways for people to connect with each other, like perhaps forming groups in the future. And there's going to be events and contests and all sorts of ways for people to get involved, including in their own communities, so they can share on any of the platforms, and Facebook and Instagram for now. Maybe there'll be Twitter in the future, just whatever people are comfortable with. And then also ways for them to bring it into their community, so they can tell their friends and show the right thing, and then also bring it into the community with fun events. So that's what, yeah, it's really fun. I love it.
So we have come to the end of our session. Before that, would you like to tell about the PDT Summit that's coming up?
Yes, I'd love to.
25th to 27th?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people around the world to join us, because the Pet Dog Trainers of Europe, they're always welcome to people are always welcome to come to our annual general meeting, which is usually held in a city. So last year it was in Rome. And people can come to that and join as friends if they'd like to, if they're want to join as an introductory membership. But this year we have an online summit because of COVID, and it's just fantastic. We have amazing keynote speakers. One of them is Dr. Jane Goodall. I'm absolutely so thrilled, amongst other amazing speakers. And so it's the 25th, 26th, and 27th of September. I think that Dogspot's going to share the link with you so you can sign up. And I hope to see you there. I'm going to speak about the slow dog movement again on the Saturday. So yeah, thank you very much.
So thank you once again, Laura. It was wonderful hosting you. We had an amazing, I'm going to try a lot of things after this live session.
Thank you very much, Namitha. You've been fantastic.
Yes, so true. I would like to thank Dogspot also for giving us this opportunity. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.